First, I want to say I'm joined today by Brandon Arnold, who's the lead oversight specialist with the Office of Oversight and Public Accountability. Mr. Arnold was with us on scene yesterday through the whole thing, so we've been working very closely with OPA in their role of oversight. So as you see, I started the video already. It's about 3 minutes of things that you guys have seen in previous officer-involved shooting videos. Disclaimers, information about how we do the investigations, and I will let those play. But as you know, we're not going to make a determination on policy or law today. This is all preliminary to provide transparency and to show what we know, the Grand Rapids Police Department knows at this time about the actual use of force incident. And the reason I bring that up is because the Michigan State Police, as well as the Kent County Prosecutor, will do a separate investigation, and they will make the determination, especially where it comes to the criminal investigation. And I'm not privileged to have access to all of the information that their investigation is undergoing. What I do have access to, of course, is the body-worn camera video and the in-car camera video of the incident, which we are prepared to share for you. I'm very thankful to report that neither my officers were injured seriously. I'm also very thankful to report that the subject involved in this is very likely to survive. He did undergo, obviously, treatment for his multiple gunshot wounds, but he was feeling healthy enough that actually when he arrived at the hospital, he ended up fighting with the hospital staff. So I'm very confident that he'll make a full recovery as well. A lot of work, as you see, goes into this. Just for clarity, since you haven't seen this, I'll tell you there are actually two shooting incidents that you're going to see. You're going to see an incident where an officer fires 3 times, and then you're going to see that same officer attempt to use his taser. The taser's ineffective, and then you're going to see a second officer who had arrived for backup fire 1 additional time. So there's 2 separate shooting incidents separated by time, and you'll see the subject in this video in possession of a box cutter. And for those for anyone who's been in police business long enough, you know that a box cutter, where it's a household item, this happens to be a folding box cutter, and I've seen injuries ranging from disfiguring to deadly with box cutters. As everyone knows, that was the weapon of choice for the terrorists on 9/11, so don't underestimate the lethality of a box cutter, especially in this case a folding box cutter in the hands of an aggressive individual. Body-worn cameras, we've had a lot of discussions around this in the 21 months since I've been here. So you can see the body-worn camera goes on the officer's chest. It does not show what the officer's eyes are seeing and can be obscured. In this case, you'll see a little bit. I believe one of the officer's jackets gets in the way of the body-worn camera video. However, I think that this video that we are going to share with you is extremely helpful. Again, you will see both shooting incidents on video. So this warning is put on there. There is graphic content, and I believe the content of this video will be available. Our PIO, Jen Kalchik, will make sure that it's available to you guys after this briefing. And this was yesterday, December 16th. And as you can see, the 200 block of Union Avenue is where officers responded to call of an assault. And this first officer who arrives is working by himself alone, and then you'll see the second officer is also working by himself.
Take your hand out of your pocket. Take your hand out of your pocket.
I'll mostly let the video speak for itself from here on out, and then I'll take questions after.
No, I'm going to check you for weapons, though.
I have one.
Don't touch anything. What do you have?
A box cutter.
Keep your hand on top of your head. Turn around and face the wall. Face the fence.
You in person?
Yeah, I'm going to take the box cutter away from you.
Right here.
Don't touch it. I'm going to take it. Put your hands in the fence. 17, 16. Don't put Put your hand in your pocket. This guy's got a box cutter. I've got a drawn down on him. We're in the north alley of Wine. Just keep your hands in your bit. You're gonna get shot. Sam, stop, please! 17 to 16, shots fired, shots fired. I got one suspect down.
Same incident from the view of the in-car camera. Slowed it down a little bit. Subject is apparently hit by that officer twice, once in the chest, I believe, and once in the stomach. But as you'll see in this upcoming video, he was not incapacitated.
Somewhere on the ground.
Hey, get back! Watch crossfire, watch crossfire. Taser, taser. Wait, hang on.
Eastbound, watch out.
As you can see, the subject went into a garage attached to a house. Of course, the officer followed with most concern about the individuals inside that residence. During the brief investigation, he was able to determine that there wasn't access to that residence from that garage.
Dennis,
Down on the ground. Clearly got a knife.
all right.
You can't get anywhere other than out there. All right, you can go left, please. All
There
right.
you go.
Down on the ground.
Dennis.
You're down on the ground. He's claiming he's got a knife.
This is from the other officer's perspective. As you can
Can't
see,
get anywhere other than
the taser was
Gonna
ineffective.
go less lethal. I got it. Get down, do it now. Get down. Get down, do it now. Get down.
So just for clarity, the original shooting officer was armed with a taser for the second incident, fired his taser. The taser was not effective. That individual continued to run at the second officer. That second officer struck a wooden fence hard enough to knock the fence over at the time that he shot the individual and finally incapacitated him at this time. See, medical aid was provided. He was taken to the hospital. He's expected to make a recovery. So before I take any questions, let me just say this is just about every officer's nightmare. You notice that the officer was running backwards. You know, when I was a new police officer, we were never taught to run backwards. That is a part of de-escalation. It's a part of using time as a tactic to give individuals the best chance to resolve this in a peaceful way. So to see an officer run backwards instead of fire their weapon is a sign that this officer was quite obviously taking every precaution that he could, every chance that he could to avoid pulling the trigger. I'm not coming to a conclusion because I don't know what I don't know about this incident, but again, this is literally every police officer's nightmare to have this happen to you. And if I can answer any questions, happy to. Fire?
Chief, you've talked a lot about an officer's top priority being preserving the sanctity of life, but you've also got a
Sure.
subject charging at your officers
Yeah.
multiple times with a weapon. So how do you balance that? You know, what do future officers do that?
Yeah, well, and a very important thing too, if you think about this too, is sanctity of life is the most important thing for the Grand Rapids Police Department. But I cannot discount that that includes the members of this police department. So that police officer is thinking about the individuals who originally were assaulted. They're obviously worried about individuals in the neighborhood. When he runs into that house, I'm sure they're terrified now. They thought that they stopped the threat, and now there's potential that this individual who's acting extremely erratically, obviously proven that he is willing to confront and chase after a uniformed police officer with a knife, then has run into someone's house. So there's a lot going on there, but I'll just say it that sanctity of life, that means police officers too. And this officer, I'm sure, I don't know exactly what was going through his head, but I can see from the fact that he was running backwards as fast as he could to avoid shooting that person. He cared very much about this individual, and I'm very happy that this individual is still alive, and I hope he gets whatever treatment he needs, and that he has a great story one day about how he turned his life around. But I'm equally thankful that my police officer was not cut. I mentioned the damage, the disfiguring, the death that can come with a box cutter. I've been on cases that have stuck in my mind from the damage that a box cutter can do, and this brought back a lot of memories for me in my earlier days of policing. And that, we're talking just seconds or less than a second away from having an extremely serious injury. So very, very scary situation.
I have a few detailed questions.
Sure.
I guess one of them being the suspect, he did not have any connection to that house or the garage that he lived
That's
in.
correct.
Like he
Right.
lived there,
Lives in a
family didn't live there,
yeah,
anything like that. Okay.
resident of the city, totally different part of the neighborhood.
And
Yeah,
then
a totally
do you
different
know
part of the city.
How long exactly he was down after he had been first shot? Like approximate.
I'd say less than a minute. We just for brevity and we didn't want to have a 30-minute video for you guys to watch. So I could find out exactly how long that is, but it's that second officer was pulling up at the time of the first shooting, and you can see he just had time to get out, approach, and the man was back up again. So I don't know. If I had to guess, I'd say about 20 seconds probably.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted to, like you said.
Yeah, I know you
it was
can't
kind of
quite
how
time it
I
out
wasn't
'cause
sure
we-
if he had been down for a few
Yeah.
minutes while that other
Yeah.
officer had come up with it.
Shot, it looked like it was over. He was down for a good solid 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then right back up like nothing happened.
And then I just want to clarify, that second video that we saw,
Yeah.
where he had shot that second time, did he have the box cutter on him?
Doesn't look like it. So if you, when you guys get a chance to watch it again, you'll hear that while he is in the garage, he's telling that officer, I've got a knife, I've got a knife. So he tells him he's got a knife. If you see in the freeze frame shots that we showed at the end, he's running towards him again. It looks like his hand's in his, maybe in the pocket of his shirt. So what was going through that officer's mind, I don't know, but I don't believe the state police recovered a second knife this time, but I'm not sure it makes a difference, as far as the thought process. But yeah, not that I'm aware of.
As far as people in the house, you said an officer's worried, making sure anyone was in.
Yeah.
Were there people in that house?
There sure were, yeah, and they came out and we talked to them, but there was not access from that garage, and that was the first thing if you actually hear the officer, because they took police action right away. They were willing to follow in. If he had gone in that house, they would have been in there and confronting him inside the house. But the first thing that officer did was make that determination, and he announces to his partner, there's no access to the house. So you can hear that on the tape as well.
Do you know how many people were in there?
At least two. Yeah, two that I was aware of.
And then I know you said that the suspect had been shot in the chest and stomach. That third shot, where was that at?
Looks, from my view of the video, and that's what I'm basing this on, so that it looks like the third shot actually hit him in his arm. Yeah.
And then what about the fourth one or I guess the first shot from the second officer? Do you know where that hit him?
I'm sorry, and I should clarify. So the first officer, from my view of the video, fired 3 times. It looked like 2 of those shots struck the individual, 1 in the chest, 1 in the stomach. And then the 4th shot would have been the 3rd shot that hit him, was the last shot hit him in the arm. Yeah. And you can kind of see on the video how he was running and intimating that he had some sort of weapon, that he kind of had his arm up like that. So that's probably why he was struck like that.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And these officers are now on leave. Is there any estimated or anticipated timeline for these investigations?
Pretty early. It's pretty early in the investigation. I know that the state police were out. Obviously, I talked to the state police. I notified the prosecutor's office before I do any of this. And I should say they're both very cooperative, so because they understand. Having previously been a detective myself, it is easiest to do this sort of investigation when no one has access to video, when no one knows anything. But so it's a balance for us as an agency and as a city to say, do we want to get the information about the shooting out as early as possible? And that, I think, is important. In 2023, people know there's a video to get out there, in-car camera, body-worn camera, and others. There's probably a lot more video, but it's not in my possession. Michigan State Police is working on it. But they're cooperative to the point where they understand that this is a balance. I know from an investigator standpoint, they would like me just to keep this for the entire investigation to be done, and that could take a month or two even, as we've seen in the past. So as far as timeline for those officers, they'll make a statement within the next 24 or 48 hours or so, and they'll likely be in an administrative role here, maybe in training or maybe down at the front desk or something. And then we communicate with the prosecutor. As soon as the prosecutor's made a decision whether or not there's a potential for criminal charges, that's when they'd return to the road.
I know you said you're not going to make any comments on, policy or.
I can comment. I'm not going to make any conclusions.
I was going to say, can you just explain the policy for use of force from?
Yeah, well, so this would be a deadly force incident, and then you have separately, you have that taser incident. And deadly force, you're authorized to use deadly force if a reasonable officer in that same position would believe that the force was necessary to prevent death or imminent great bodily harm for an individual. So that means if an individual has a box cutter and is standing 45 feet away and just standing there saying, I'm going to cut you with this box cutter, that wouldn't quite cut it because the immediacy is not there. The potential is there, the risk is there, but there's no immediate threat. So it's a balance of, did that person actually appear to have the ability and the intent to cause that harm in the officer's mind? Did that officer really believe that this person had the capability and the intent to harm him? So that's the sort of balancing test, or the test that we'll use to look at it.
Brendan, I'm curious, do you mind kind of just walking us through your thoughts about, the video that we just saw and from your standpoint with OPA?
So at this time, we're not going to make a comment on the video, like Chief said. Typically with OPA, we like to wait until the conclusion of all the investigations because we're looking at it from an oversight role. We want to make sure that we have all of the details that are available to us. At that time, I'm sure my director, Brandon Davis, will be more than happy to make a statement on it. Thank you.
Is there anything else?
Anything else from you guys?
Are the officers on paid leave?
They are, yeah. Yep, they'll be on paid leave.
And do you have the suspect, does he have a prior history or anything like that?
He does have a history. I don't have a detail of everything. I know there's some narcotics in the background, and not that you were asked to speculate on what this was all about, but it is uncommon, although not. This isn't the first time this happened for a police officer to arrive at what, generally speaking, would be sort of a run-of-the-mill call, and for it to turn into something completely unexpected like this. But oftentimes in cases like this, there's either issues with mental health, like untreated mental health issues, or narcotics, especially psychedelic narcotics. So it will be very interesting for me to find out from the state police what the investigation explains, because like I said, this is a nightmare for police officers to encounter, and it's something you hope you never encounter.
I know you said the nature of the initial call was an assault call. Are you able to detail more about what was said to dispatchers when?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, initially we had a disturbance with a person call, and that was inside one of the local businesses there, that this individual had been locked himself in a bathroom and then possibly attempting to steal something, and then he was threatening customers. At that point in time, we received a second 911 call saying that there was an individual in the area that was assaulting people, and then we had a description of a possible offender from the first call. This individual matched that description to a T, which prompted the field investigation from the officer. And I don't know if you can't quite hear what what the young man is saying, the subject is saying when he first stops, but he says something like, "Am I under arrest?" And the officer says, "Well, you're not free to go, and do you have a weapon on you?" And that's what it gets to. So it wasn't clear what was going on from the officer, and it's still not clear to us because we're not conducting the investigation. But there was obviously a lot of history prior to his arrival with individuals in the store and then individuals on the street.
Was that business north of Vineyard?
I'm not ready to say it was in that area, but I'm not going to identify the business at this time. Yep. Good. Anybody else? Happy to stick around. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come down here. It helps. I know these are of interest to the public, and it's helpful for us to be transparent, to keep that trust, to let people know that we're giving you the information as soon as we have it. So thank you for covering it.